Okay, so you did it. You saved up, you did all the research, and you finally bought your first rental property. Maybe you even scraped together enough for a second one. But now, you're stuck, right? All your cash is locked up in those deals, and it feels like it's going to take years to save up for the next one. This is the wall that stops most new investors right in their tracks. But what if there was a way to use that same capital over and over again?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you keep buying properties without constantly running out of money? Well, you've come to the right place. I'm Robert, and this is the Brick by Brick YouTube channel, where we help beginners build wealth through real estate, one property at a time. We're going to break down the powerful, repeatable system that answers that exact question.
And that system is called the BRRRR Method. It's a strategy designed specifically to solve that cash trap problem, and it allows you to scale your portfolio at a speed that's, well, it's just not possible with the old-school way of buying rentals.
Now, BRRRR is an acronym, and it lays out the entire process for you in 5 simple steps. It stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and then the part that changes everything, repeat. You really have to understand how each of these pieces fits together to make the whole thing work.
See, the real genius of BRRRR is that it's not a straight line. It's a circle. It's a continuous cycle. You use your initial pot of money to get the wheel turning, and by the time you get to the end, you've pulled that same money back out and you're ready to start all over again on the next property. This is the engine that drives rapid growth.
So, let's pop the hood and see exactly how this engine works. We're going to walk through each of these 5 steps, piece by piece, so you can see the mechanics of how you turn a rundown property into a cash-flowing machine and get your initial investment back in your pocket.
It all starts with the buy. Now, the key here isn't just to buy any property. You have to find a distressed property, something that needs work, and buy it for way less than what it could be worth. We call that future value the after repair value, or ARV. This is where you make your money, but it means you have to do some serious homework, your due diligence. We're talking zoning, building codes, utilities, everything.
Next up is the rehab. This is where you force appreciation. You see, you're not just sitting around hoping the market goes up. Nope. You are actively adding value yourself through smart renovations. The goal isn't just to make it pretty, it's to strategically increase what a bank appraiser will say it's worth and, just as important, what a good tenant will be willing to pay in rent.
Once all the construction dust has settled, you move on to the rent phase. You need to find a great, qualified, long-term tenant and get them moved in. And listen, this step is absolutely critical. A lender will not give you a new loan on an empty house. They need to see that it's a stable, income-producing asset. So no tenant means no refinance. Simple as that.
All right, let's put some real numbers on this so you can see it in action. Let's say you find a fixer-upper for $60,000. You figure out it's going to take another $30,000 to do the rehab. So your total cash out of pocket for this whole project is $90,000. Remember that number, 90 grand.
Now, for the magic. Step 4, the refinance. After all your hard work, a new appraisal comes in, and the property is now valued at $120,000. That's your ARV. Typically, a lender will loan you up to 75% of that new value. Well, what's 75% of $120,000? It's $90,000. And that is the linchpin of the entire strategy. The bank gives you a brand new loan for $90,000. You use that money to pay yourself back for your initial $90,000 investment. You now own a cash-flowing rental property with basically none of your own money left in the deal. And your original capital? It's back in your bank account, ready for you to go out and repeat the whole process.
Now, the math looks fantastic on paper. I get it. But doing this in the real world, that comes with its own set of challenges. A few myths we need to bust, and some really important realities you need to understand before you dive in.
Okay, let's get the biggest myth out of the way first. You hear people talk about BRRRR as no money down investing. And as this very smart Reddit user points out, that's not really the whole picture. The goal is to get all your money back out, but you absolutely need cash to get started, whether it's your own money, a partner's, or a hard money loan. That cash is going to be tied up for the entire project.
It's also really important to have realistic expectations. You're not always going to get every single penny back. You might miscalculate a rehab cost, or the appraisal might come in a little low. But you know what? Leaving $10,000 or even $20,000 in a deal is still a massive win. You just bought a great asset with very little of your own capital, and you can still do a bunch more deals before needing to save up again.
You also have to adapt to whatever the market is doing. The classic BRRRR method is kind of high risk, high reward. You move fast. But in a shaky economy or when interest rates are high, a lot of savvy investors pivot to what they call the slow BRRRR. This is a more conservative approach where you buy a more stable property, maybe one that's already occupied, and you renovate it slowly over time. It's lower risk, and it's all about protecting your capital.
And please, remember this, real estate is a team sport. You don't do this alone. To successfully pull off a BRRRR, you need what we call your core four. That's a great real estate agent who finds the deals, a creative lender who gets investor financing, a contractor you can trust, and a solid property manager who can handle the day-to-day.
So beyond just getting your cash back, the true life-changing power of this method is found in that final step, the repeat. This is where you actually build long-term, generational wealth.
And I think this Bruce Lee quote just illustrates the point perfectly. The BRRRR method isn't just some financial trick, it's a training system. It forces you to practice the fundamental skills of real estate, finding deals, financing them, renovating and managing, over and over and over. You're not just buying properties, you're developing mastery.
And the result of all that repetition, it's exponential growth. I mean, look at this. A traditional investor might buy 2 properties in 5 years, but a BRRRR investor, they could potentially buy 10, maybe more, in that same amount of time. This chart just shows you the staggering difference in how fast you can build your portfolio and your net worth.
Okay, so now we understand the process, we see the power behind it, but what's that very first step? How do you actually go from watching this explainer to doing your first deal? Well, it usually comes down to getting over one major obstacle.
Believe it or not, the number one thing that stops new investors isn't lack of money. It's fear. The fear of the unknown, of making a mistake, of losing everything. But, as Brandon Turner from BiggerPockets famously says, the antidote to fear is math. The numbers don't lie. When you learn how to analyze a deal properly, you remove the emotion and the guesswork, and you can clearly see what's possible.
So, at the end of the day, it really just comes down to this. Thousands of people are out there using this exact method every single day. We know it works. So the real question isn't, can the strategy be done? The real question is, will you commit to learning your market and analyzing deals until you find one that works for you?
The BRRRR Method is a proven roadmap to scale your portfolio faster than you ever thought possible. By recycling your capital, you really can turn one investment into 10. So, if you're ready to learn more strategies to build your portfolio from the ground up, make sure to subscribe to Brick by Brick. We're here to help you build your wealth one property at a time. Thanks for watching.